Welcome to the IME Community Podcast, where self-love is your superpower to achieve your weight and life goals and make your mark in the world. Your host is Dr. Carla, activist, MD. If you're a teen who's looking to revolutionize your health and can't wait to follow your dreams, welcome to the IME community.
I can cry if I want to, cry if I want to. Okay, no crying this week, even though we're talking about stress less, sleep more. I can't believe it is week 11 of the IME Reverse Your Insulin Resistance Challenge. It's our 12-week health challenge, and it's on YouTube on this video, and it's on the IME Community podcast, so like and subscribe to both of those. Follow at IME Community on TikTok, IME_community on Instagram. So I'm showing up every day. I'm doing videos, I'm doing posts, I'm doing TikTok lives for coaching, and it's been incredible. And so I've already reached the measure of success that I set for the challenge. The number one, I had two actually. The number one was that I was committed to showing up every day, doing videos every week, creating this amazing content, and I've done that, and I'm excited. Next week is going to be relationships and boundaries. Last week we wrapped up self-love superpower. Of course, I think that's the most important week. This week on stress and sleep is obviously super important. It's just a heavy week. I mean, we're talking, especially with stress, I'm going to get into ACEs and trauma. So just know that that's like, this week comes with a little bit of a trauma warning, okay, for you? But I promise we're going to have fun. You're not going to feel stuck. You're going to get support and you're going to learn a ton, okay? Because I'm here for you. My main thing with creating all this content and getting it out there and how I've thought about it is I'm getting out to you exactly what I've had to create health transformation and to create my healthy life. And it's incredible, okay? It's really incredible. And I love showing up and I love coaching on lives. And last week I had a couple wins with the, it's we, because it's all of us. All of us are our IME community. So getting a lot more followers on TikTok. We're close to 50K, which is awesome. And so if you are the 50,000th follower on TikTok for IME community, you're going to get a free copy of my book, The Magical Everywhere, which is an incredible children's book. And I interviewed Gigi's mom. Gigi was inspiration for The Magical Everywhere. Gigi is the magical everywhere, and we're continuing to spread her beautiful, powerful message. She was a patient of mine who so sadly, and sad for the world mostly, died of brain cancer when she was 8 years old, and I wrote a poem for her that was read at her memorial service, and then I promised her mom I would turn it into a book, and my beautiful, brilliantly talented friend, an artist, musician, writer herself, can do everything. Jill Dreyer, she lives in Portland, Oregon. She's been my BFF from kindergarten. She illustrated the book and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's called The Magical Everywhere. You can go to imecommunity.com, click on IME Books, and a portion of all proceeds, of all profits, go to Benefit Child Health, a nonprofit organization. So we've already supported foster children getting books from Usborne Books, which is really cool, and we're going to be working with Reach Out and Read here in Nebraska to get books in the hands of young children, and I'm going to be of course donating several of the Magical Everywhere books to spread Gigi's message here. So I am so excited about that. Also, same thing on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. Instagram's slow to build. I really haven't spent much time on it at all. And I have someone who works with me who does amazing posts and has better strategy, I guess. I don't know. But we're growing that. And if you're my 500th follower on, which we're almost there, on Instagram, then you get a Magical Everywhere book too. So we're going to be doing lots of fun things with that. Okay. So the other measure of success was, number one was that I was going to show up. Number two was that I would get 1 million views on the TikTok videos that I did during the 12 weeks of the challenge. Last week, I decided to go through and count them up because I'm doing like 1, 2, or 3 a day videos of TikTok, and then I show up and do live coaching, and almost every day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes 0, but usually every day. And I really love doing it. It's so fun to coach people from all over the world, and they have amazing questions, and life coaching is so powerful for all of us, and the work of self-compassion, and then just learning a metabolic health approach to reversing your insulin resistance and recognizing we got to reject diet culture and think about how to look at this in a different way and approach, and you have power to choose for yourself where you want to start. So anyway, 1 million views of the videos that I created since starting week 1, day 1. And so I have, 150 some videos that I've created. And I mean, they're short, and it's so hit and miss on TikTok. I mean, the strategy is kind of interesting. After this challenge is over, I'll reflect on some of that, and maybe it'll help you if you want to be a content creator on TikTok. Because I mean, I'm almost to 50K followers. And I started at obviously 0, not that long ago. So anyway, and it could be 1 million. I hope it's 1 million. I want it to be 1 million. Maybe today it'll happen. Who knows? Depends. Maybe it'll take another 5 years. Who knows? But I'm committed to that goal of 1 million followers for IME community, because when we're creating this amazing, huge community where we're just reversing all of what we've gotten wrong and creating a healthier and more fun path moving forward in a supportive community along the way. So last week I decided I was going to count up my videos. I like to count stuff. That's like, I love math, and I just like counting. I kind of OCD kind of about that stuff. I wish I had OCD about making my bed or doing my laundry or cleaning the dishes, but today I've been working on this content and I haven't done any of that stuff, so my house is gross. Anyway, we'll get to that after this podcast. It's my podcast, I can cry if I want to. And anyway, so I had 940,000, plus or minus a couple hundred or whatever, last week. And so I'm like, I had 2.5 weeks to go of the challenge, which absolutely comes as no guarantee. You think, oh, that's only 60,000. You have 940,000 so far. Some of the videos get like 100 and some views, and some of them that I think are amazing get like hardly any views. And then I'll be like, I'm getting shadow banned on this clock app. And my kids are like, Mom, no, you are not. You're definitely not getting shadow banned. People have a cringe meter. And then when they just see they scroll onto it, and then they're just like, ooh. And so I'm like, oh, really? Okay. So my daughters are like, no, you need like more of a hook, Mom, for them. So, and I'm like looking at the videos that have gone viral that I've done, and it's true. I call them viral when they've had like 450,000 views. I think that's good. I had one that's almost like that. Okay, so I was like, okay, flipping strategy here. Time to put on a flipping strategy. So I probably need one video that's going to get me at least like 50K. So then some of the things that have resonated with folks is, the main thing is like when you're going to be a creator on these apps, is you have to be offering something. So if you're like the go-to expert like I am on these topics and these issues, and you've gone through it yourself, oh man, awesome. And you're willing to show up, oh man, awesome. And you're a coach like I am, oh, awesome. And you're a compassionate person, yes. And you're willing to show up and connect, and you actually think it's absolute fun, and you want to create and be there, and people trust you, you're going to be successful, okay? That's why I watch like my friend Brandon McDermott, who I interviewed on this podcast and who wrote the book Abandon Brandon. And he's from Nebraska. Now he's a bigger TikTok star than when I interviewed him. And he's on Instagram now, and he's getting these amazing brand deals, and he's a DJ in Iowa. And anyway, that's what we talked about, if you're willing to just show up and connect and show compassion to people, that's what works. But also that you're offering them a different way of thinking about something that is actually going to be helpful, because and you're not just giving them some sort of dogma, something that they're just like, oh, here you go. spoon feeding people. Okay, so when I said like obesity is hormonal, that was like a big one. When I talked about medical gaslighting and weight stigma and bias in healthcare, those are my biggest videos that go. When I'm willing to be Dr. Carla Activist MD and really stick up and say this is where we've gone wrong, and we have to reject diet culture. When I call out parents who are weight victimizers, who are weight bullying their kids and their teens, those are all really powerful videos. So anyway, just keep that in mind. And then also there's some TikTok creators who actually show you like go through like what are the new trends, and if there's a trend where there's only been like maybe like 5,000 or 6,000, I think creators using that trend, then you can really hop on it early, because the ones that I've done where I've been like really slow to get on those, they don't really have much play, even though I'm like, that's an awesome one. Like I did the one where the guys who are dancing and we were just like, you know, you know that one. And see, doesn't that look cool? See, that's not cringy. Anyway, I thought that's really good, you know, and it was like when I coach other doctors to ask teens permission before they talk about their weight, you know, and I thought that was a good one, but I was so late on that trend that it didn't really hit. So anyway, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Okay, and the two that I follow, I think the one is called The Good Social, and she's never steered me wrong. And then the other one is like the Mrs. Peterson or something like that, who do a lot of that kind of telling you what the latest trends are to hop on. Okay? All right, so let's get back to the challenge. Yay, week 11. Stress less, sleep more. All right, follow along here. Make sure you're following on TikTok. Share with your friends, please. Get on the IME Community podcast on Apple and Spotify. So learning how to stress less and sleep more is a very important part of our overall health and our health transformation and life goals. And in fact, we know that diet culture teaches us the opposite, right? I mean, it keeps us fixated on just one area, and that's just focusing on our, calorie restriction and a number on the scale. And it's just like boring. It's unfun. It's a new. Unfun backwards is new. That's the term that I use for community when something's really super unfun. So, but what's really effective is taking a holistic approach and focusing on all of our health, including stress less, sleep more. If you want to focus here on just this, and these two go together, stress and sleep, that's an amazing place to get started, and you always get to choose. And there's power in choice, and it's really powerful. You're going to get powerful results that you create on your own when you choose. Awesome. Cortisol is our body's stress hormone. And the problem with cortisol is cortisol itself, there's no problem. It's created to keep us safe. But our bodies are not meant to constantly be exposed to stress hormones, just like our bodies are not made to constantly be exposed to processed carbs and high levels of insulin. And they have to adapt and create insulin resistance. And with cortisol, it creates what's called chronic toxic stress. That's the adaptation in our bodies. And we're going to talk more about that Thursday, especially as it relates to ACEs, or the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, okay? So cortisol raises insulin levels, and since we are week 11 of the Reverse Your Insulin Resistance Challenge, we're talking insulin resistance, we know that constantly elevated levels of insulin usually translate to weight gain, and then all the other poor health outcomes that are related to insulin resistance, like metabolic syndrome, which I talked about in week 7, your metabolic health. You should go back and listen to that one. It's powerful. So remember, you're worthy of your healthy life, okay? And I've coached you on taking massive action on your goals, but starting with one goal at a time. That's really important. I know we want to do all the things, and we think I need to fix and solve everything. And my hair's doinking out here. Ooh, that looks good. Okay. But don't get too excited, okay? You're going to cause yourself more overwhelm. So, take an action on a goal to stress less, sleep more means you're taking massive action on your health goals. And again, you have the power to choose where to start. we all know there's like a healthy amount of stress, and we're always going to have stress in our lives, right? But the problem is when we are continuously exposed to cortisol, we see poor outcomes and chronic diseases like obesity. Again, you're never stuck. You're never stuck. And I always believe in your unlimited potential to live your magical, healthy life. So if you're a teen, 12 to 18, or a parent of a teen, 12 to 18, struggling with their weight or body image, make sure you go to my website. Go to imecommunity.com and sign up for my email list. You'll get the Make It Fun to Get It Done 3-day email challenge, which is fun. Okay, it's how I do everything. If I'm not feeling it, I don't do it. I don't do this podcast if I'm not feeling inspired, okay? I do it when I'm ready to have fun. I want you to sign up for my email list, and then also make sure you click on Join IME Community and become a member, and you're going to find it easy. It's fun to connect with other teens who are going through what you're going through, and I'm there to support you. You get Zoom coaching and your own member login. It's awesome, okay? So do that, and let's go with the week. So stress less, sleep more, Monday. Instead of eat less, move more, which is the public health messaging that's been out there for decades, fine. Okay, sure. Thanks for the advice. Thanks for all the evidence-based treatment. Eat less, move more, lose weight. Oh, thanks. That's all I needed to know. I never thought of that. But let's try a simple message. Let's switch this up and one that's actually helpful. So I wrote this one last night. Stress less, sleep more. That's a message we can wrap our minds, our bodies, and our health around, just like a nice, warm self-acceptance blanket that's always readily available to you. Always readily available. So, stress and sleep play an important role in our overall health. Maybe even more than eating and movement. I don't know. But all we ever hear about from diet culture, like I said, is focus on restrict calories, which for me, anyway, creates even more stress in my life. It's unfun, new, and life is meant to be fun. We can choose a fun life. It's okay. It's okay. So no thanks on what's going to feel restrictive. I'm not interested in that anymore in my life, okay? I'm excited to help you take a holistic approach to health with a challenge this week. This is what I do. This is what I have intentionally done over the last 4 years of my life, okay? And our health includes a lot of measures, including stress and sleep. And it's one of the reasons why, because health incorporates so many different measures and parts of ourselves, that weight and health aren't exactly correlated, and we shouldn't ever judge someone's health based on the external, which if you are listening to this podcast or watching this YouTube video, you know as well as I do. I'm preaching to the literal preacher here, right? You all are preachers here. And we literally know nothing about anyone else's health. And on TikTok, I'm constantly supporting the body positive creators out there because they get so much health cyberbullying and just ticks me off. And they are accused of promoting obesity, and it's like just them existing brings on this bullying, and it's ridiculous. But they're doing amazing. They're incredible. They're powerful. Their message is awesome. And I hope they are just hugely successful and become huge social media influencers, and I get some of them on my podcast is my goal. So a lot of times we hardly know anything about even our own health, so how can we judge somebody else's? So make sure you're not doing that. So where will you write our new and fun and actually helpful message so you remember this most important aspect of your health? So just get a Post-it, okay? Here's your easy action step for the day on Monday. Put stress less, sleep more on a Post-it note. That's it. And then you're done for the day. Okay, easy. I let you off. Okay, wake me up before you go. Tuesday, we're talking about sleep. Let's talk science of sleep. I'm going to speak to you in a really excited voice so you don't fall asleep while I'm talking to you about sleep. I've had a little caffeine today. A little. I usually have too much. Stress less, sleep more. I need to work on this. Both of those things. I'm going to. Okay. You've probably heard about sleep hygiene. Maybe not. If you're a teen, maybe your mom still has to remind you to wear deodorant. I don't want to be rude here, but I have to remind my son of that. Stress less, sleep more. But he can be pretty good, you know. And he likes Dr. Squatch soap and all that kind of stuff. He's a pretty funny guy. And he's not pretty funny. He's actually flippin' hilarious. And I'm thinking at least one of my children is going to be a comedian. They better be. Anyway. Okay. So no big if you haven't heard of sleep hygiene, but sleep hygiene means cleaning up your sleep routine, like decluttering it. And this is a massive action goal I'm working on now. And let me tell you, I have some work to do, so we're going to do it together, okay? So how much sleep do we need? Depends on your age. Oh my gosh, one thing I saw said today that teens need around 10 to 12 hours of sleep a night, which is a lot, I know. But I mean, trying to get 8 or 9, please, okay? Screen time and sleep. I know sometimes teens, especially on the weekends in the summer, we could sleep way more than that, right? That's okay. So screen time and sleep. Screen time recommendations are so limited for children and teens now, which I get. But if we're a doctor, a parent of a teen listening, let's not ruin our credibility and just say, especially to teens, that they should not be getting more than just like 1 hour or so a day of screen time. Because even though it's true, it's a good recommendation, it's founded in evidence base, but it's just that we've seen such an uptick in screen time with COVID, and we're all feeling pretty overwhelmed. And I think, like, how can we help our teens create more of a balance and have a softer approach? And ask the teen, you know, like, what can you do instead of screen time before bed? What are the steps you might take that are specific to help you do that? What's your current thinking and feeling about staying off your phone a couple hours before bed, because that's what's going to get in your way, and the thought is just a thought. And how can you decide ahead of time? And parents obviously create boundaries around screen time. It can help our teens create a balance. And I'm in the middle of this with you, like smack dab dealing with this too, like for myself, and then also with my teens who just get their stuff done and see no problem in it. Okay. So I'm here with you. We're all going to work on this together. Recently, my daughter Audrey, I asked her to do some research for IME community around junk food marketing to teens on social media. So, and the words that I would use that I learned from her research is how these companies do digital marketing to teens is tactical and subterranean. The ads are embedding and cueing stimuli of the urge, craving, conditioned over desire for processed carb-filled foods in our brains. So you're being influenced and you don't even know it. Just something to keep in mind. And you get my little pun there? Something to keep in mind when we're talking about brain science? Okay. How is sleep deprivation related to weight gain and poor health? There may be a few reasons for that. Our hunger hormone levels, like ghrelin, and then leptin is the hormone that tells us when we're full. Those may be off, so we can't really tell if we're hungry or full. We have more time to eat when we're not sleeping as much, which actually that cracked me up so much. And we spend the next day too, when we haven't gotten enough sleep, in energy-seeking behaviors like eating quick energy foods that don't serve us in our goals, like sugary, processed carby foods, okay? Also, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you buffer with sleep? Sometimes we all do. And remember, we talked about buffering with food before, and buffering is when you look to the external to solve something internally, okay? How do you know if you buffer with sleep? If you're buffering with sleep, that probably means you spend a lot of time in bed but still feel tired, and you're not getting done maybe what you need to do and you want to do. So ask yourself on Tuesday, wake me up before you go Tuesday. Ask yourself, how much sleep do you usually get? How much sleep do I get? What's your sleep routine? Ask yourself, how can I improve my sleep hygiene? In other words, declutter my sleep routine. Very important. Do you need the quiet? Do you need a noise machine? Do you need to limit screens a couple hours before bed? How can you do that specifically? What can you do instead? Limit caffeine intake. Keep the room cool and dark. Shower before bed. Wear loose PJs. Do a sleep meditation. Make sure you see the light in the morning. Like you have the window open so that the light works. Otherwise, we're going to have a hard time getting up and keeping on our circadian rhythm. The light helps us with that. Okay. Under pressure, under pressure, Wednesday. And also Vanilla Ice stole that. But I like Ice Ice Baby. I do like that song. All right, not as much as Under Pressure by David Bowie and Queen. The coolest song. One time when iPods were as fancy as technology as we had, that were out there. My family and I were on a plane, and my husband was like, Carla, he grabbed my iPod. He's like, you've listened to this song over and over and over again. And I'm like, I know, I really love it. But I was like, really what was going on in my life was that I really related to it, and it helped me relieve some of it was like a pressure valve or something. I felt like with my work, especially in family and everything going on in my life, that I was under pressure, that I had the weight of the world on my shoulders. And that was just a thought, but I didn't know it was at that point, because I didn't literally have the weight of the world on my shoulders. All those things that I thought I had to do probably were fine if I didn't do them. But I hadn't discovered life coaching yet. I hadn't discovered the transformational power of managing my mind and learning that it's just a thought that creates my feeling, okay? That pressure was created from the thought of, I've got the whole world on my shoulder. I have so much pressure. I got to do all these things myself. Anyway, but I do love that song. It's awesome. So, I mentioned before, cortisol is our stress hormone. It does serve a function to keep us safe, okay? But it increases insulin, and insulin causes us to gain weight. So, not usually a problem when cortisol is released and we have a push of insulin, unless we have chronically elevated cortisol. So, reducing stress is super important. We have to be intentional about that. And a healthy dose of stress is okay, and we can't get away and control all of the stress in our lives, but we can take action to reduce stress. Stress relief is an action. It's not sitting in front of a screen, okay? Whether it's moving your body, getting outside and connecting with nature, your friends, your family, practicing deep breathing, meditation, drawing, writing, music, journaling, doing thought downloads, doing a brain dump. It's all a part of active stress reduction, and that's the goal, okay? All right. What's your ACEs score Thursday? So today's message for Thursday comes with a little bit of a trauma warning. We're going to be talking about the ACEs study. Have you heard of the ACEs study? The ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, and that was a study done by Kaiser, and I think the CDC too, measuring 17,000 patients' ACEs scores, and then determining the score as it related to health outcomes in adulthood, especially like chronic diseases. So ACEs measures 10 different areas of trauma in childhood in the areas of abuse, neglect, exposure to domestic violence, substance abuse, mental illness, and whether or not a parent was incarcerated. The study showed that if you have a score of 2 or more, so if your answer was yes to 2 or more of those, then you're at risk for adverse physical and mental outcomes as an adult in chronic disease. And that includes chronic diseases like obesity. And it's what I saw in a lot of my patients, and what inspired me after I went to the National American Academy of Pediatrics conference and exhibit in Washington, D.C. in the fall of 2015, so 6 years ago. I got to listen to Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris as the keynote speaker for the conference, and she's a pediatrician in California. She's the Surgeon General of California now, and she's the expert on pediatric ACEs, and she talked about and coined the term chronic toxic stress in childhood, and talked about the adverse effects of chronic toxic stress and what that means to our bodies. And so when I heard her speak, which I had been a fan of hers, and I was so excited to listen to her, and I went to that conference in DC by myself, and I had my amazing nonprofit, Teaching Kid to Fish, and I was the pediatrician and lead, the funder, and medical director for a pediatric weight management program called Heroes here in Lincoln, and it took me 3 years to get that going, so I'd been a pediatrician for that clinic, and I was like, this is what I'm seeing in my patients, this is what I grew up with. My ACEs score is actually a 7 out of 10, which is really high, and I'm sure my sister's is that too. And it makes me really sad when I see that score, but and I also know like that becoming obese was tied to the trauma and chronic toxic stress I experienced growing up, and I'll talk a little bit more about what you can do, because definitely like this is out of the scope of what I'm going to talk about on this podcast, and also more importantly, it's out of the scope of, what I do with the IME community as a life coach and even as a pediatrician, because you want to get to a trauma-informed therapist for sure. And I've definitely worked with therapists in my life to help me, and I'm going to encourage you to do that, okay? IME community can be a super helpful adjunct to add on to that and help you reach your goals. And so anyway, I listened to Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I went to the U.S. Capitol. We had a Speak Up for Kids rally. So all the pediatricians, we had our stethoscopes, we had our white coats, and we were advocating for, it was the hashtag Every Child Needs, safe environment, sound relationship, and sound nutrition and healthy relationships. And I saw that, and I said, that is the vision for what became what's called the Center for the Child and Community that I founded and funded with all the assets of my nonprofit organization and led. And for me, like personally, like I'm celebrating, and I'm also celebrating like being free from two years of leaving that job per my attorney's directive. That was another bout of trauma for me that I dealt with in my adulthood. But I will tell you, like, it's why I'm fearless, why I became Dr. Carla Activist MD, is like, I know that about myself. Like, I have absolutely no fear to speak up for children. And I found that out. Like, I knew that about myself, and then I found that out in that situation. And it's like, you can take your high-paying job, but you're never going to silence me. So life is going to be like that. You're going to experience things. You're going to get your butt kicked when you put yourself in the arena. And Brene Brown talks about this a lot. And you're daring greatly. She talks about that in her book and her podcast, her TED Talks. It's awesome. But it's, you're taking action when you do it. Okay. Those of us who have experienced trauma, if you have a high ACEs score, I would say if you're a teen, I would definitely work with your doctor or your parents, maybe not your parents, but work with a doctor, work with a therapist and ask them about ACEs. I wouldn't take it on your own. I don't know. I just think we need more help and support. And like I said, like for me, like as an adult, I've sought a lot of help and had help from trauma-informed therapists. And then as I went through the trauma with my workplace trauma, I really worked closely with my amazing life and well-being coach, Kristen Webster, to really help me heal intentionally and get centered and get internal and create what I wanted to do, get back to my original vision when I started my nonprofit of creating community solutions for children's health. And the thing is, like, there are things that you don't cause and you can't control and you can't fix what's truly broken. I learned that, but your vision for yourself and your life is yours. Like, nobody can take anything away from you. Nobody can take anything away from you. You own it. You own your vision. That is the most powerful thing. And if you align your actions with your values in life, you're untouchable. You're untouchable. You will heal. You will find the best people. You will create the most intentional community with people who have the same vision for you. And it can be a gift, like it was for me. It can be an absolute gift. But we have to intentionally heal. All right, so check out my IME community YouTube interview with Brandon McDermott. Maybe you follow him on TikTok. He's a very big TikTok star. He does lunchbox reviews. He's super funny. He's a DJ. And he's on Instagram, and he wrote a book called Abandoned Brandon, which is how I got familiar with him, became familiar with him, and then I became Facebook friends with him, and I really supported his book, and it's powerful what he's been through, and that podcast is really, really powerful. So you can see, like, with intentional healing, moving forward, like, your trauma doesn't have to dictate your whole life, okay? And I think he and I talked a little bit about, when people say, oh, well, that's what makes you stronger, or that's because you went to that. It's like, no, don't ever say that. Please don't say that to someone who's been through trauma, that I'm not doing this because I went through that. I mean, maybe I am. I think I'm more successful at it because of that, because I am a truly compassionate, trustworthy person who really only cares about the vision, and I'm fearless in speaking out. But I don't think I would have liked to have seen what my life would have been like without that, but I don't have a choice, right? We only have a choice with intentionally healing. Okay. All right. Changing your brain Friday, rewiring it. Have you heard of neuroplasticity? That's so cool. It's a cool word. Our brains are changing, malleable, and adaptable, like all the time, until we die, literally all the time. We do have to challenge our brains to try new things. We have to try new things. That challenges our brain. And think in different ways to create new pathways and connections in our brain. And it's always possible. Your brain's going to be changed after this podcast. Mine will be too, okay? And I love the book Live Wired by David Eagleman. He's a PhD neuroscientist, researcher, and also a writer. And I heard him on the Brene Brown podcast. I'm a huge fan of hers, obviously, and all the people she has on there. And anyway, so check it out if you get the chance. Check out that book. We spend a lot of time managing the world in our brains. I do. And sometimes arguing with reality, right? I mean, our brains offer up tens of thousands of thoughts per day, which create a response in our body, which is our feelings. We are not our thoughts, and we don't have to stay attached to thoughts like paint on a wall that don't serve us. So start rewiring your brain by creating awareness of what's going on in there on the daily, with thought downloads or brain dumps. So do like 1, 3, or 5 minutes. I'm going to give you a challenge, like a 7-day challenge, to write a thought download, do a brain dump. It doesn't matter what time of day you do it, when you do it, whatever. It doesn't take long. Obviously, 1, 3, or 5 minutes. It's not a long time, but it's worth it. And do that for a week, and then just go back and see what's the story your brain's telling you, and what are facts that you can actually prove, or that everybody in the world would agree on. Okay? So this is powerful work. It's like the first step in creating thought awareness, which is life coaching, which is self-coaching. It's powerful. And then that helps you create the results that you want, okay? Let it go, let it go. Perfectionism, that is. Let perfectionism go. It's easy because it doesn't exist, but we grip onto it. We grip onto it. And you're a perfectionist if, have you heard that Jeff Foxworthy comedian, you're a redneck if? My mom would be like, he is so funny. Like, okay. I think he's funny for a while, but that's kind of it. But you're a perfectionist if I'm not even perfect at saying the word perfectionist. So I am though. And it's not anything I'm happy about. It's grueling. It's grueling hell. To be perfectionist, to have those just that kind of behavior that you're still attached to. I get stuck in it, and then I can tell when I'm stuck in it. And now I know, like, when I'm stuck in it at least, and to pause and not to force myself through it, because I just have to take a break from it. I have to disrupt it, okay? Because it's such a strong pattern in my brain. Okay, do you have patterns that are keeping you stuck? Do you? I'm talking patterns like perfectionism. Have you labeled yourself a procrastinator? If you hesitate to get going, you have a lot of fear of criticism, self-doubt, failure, and you feel like you have to get like an A on the first draft, and that you should know everything before you even started to learn it, then you may be a perfectionist. Okay, I go through this with my kids. Well, especially like my oldest daughter. I mean, she's just amazing person, and just the greatest, sweetest, smartest, most awesome human. And she really was always like that when she was little. She would say, "Don't say good job, say bad job," with her little toddler spoon. She doesn't like serve me praise. And who does, And I think she was always like, "I'm not doing this for you. I'm not jumping through your hoops." I think that's what it was. It was like condescending to her, she said. I think I've talked about that before. But sometimes, like, when you're really good at, like, certain things and a lot of things, like she is, then you think you should know everything before you even get started. Okay? Maybe you can relate to that. We all can, right? Here's the good news, though. You're not stuck. So once you recognize how perfectionism comes up in you, and then when you learn these skills that I've been teaching you of self-love superpower, so you just have your own back and you move forward with that, then you're less afraid of the criticism of others because you're not going to make it mean anything, right? You have your own back. You're not going to make it mean anything. When failure is only learning, right, and you're always curious and you're kind to yourself, then you'll keep taking action. You're not scared to take action. Okay, because you're not going to make it mean. Because there is no perfect. There is no perfect. It doesn't exist. So try B- work on the first draft. Not everything we do has to be an A, especially the first time we do it, okay? And I don't have to be perfect. You can say this. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be perfectly kind to myself. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. Okay, Healing on Purpose playlist Sunday. You know I love playlists. Okay, this isn't a real funky one, but is awesome and important for us to decrease our anxiety. All right, so we made it. If we get to Sunday, let's exhale. This has been a really tough week talking about sleep and stress and all of the things. Have you heard the term time heals all wounds? Just give it time. If people said that to you, it's kind of frustrating when they do that. I think it definitely helps for sure. Time does help. It helps like dissipate, like kind of the strength of it, right? It helps to fade. It helps to heal. But what also helps is healing with intention or healing on purpose. So don't be hard on yourself or listen to that negative self-talk brain or attached to all the negativity that your brain's bringing up for you when you're having a really tough time. We can start recognizing it. Are you being harsh? Are you making it mean something about you? Welcome your human emotions and allow them. You are on this journey. It's okay. You're strong enough. They're there. You are entitled to your human journey. It's time for self-love superpower. Other things to consider you can try, which are cool things, are like sound therapy. EFT is called like emotional freedom tapping, which is really cool. There's some coaches who do that, or psychologists maybe. Yoga is amazing. Meditation is incredible. Try a gratitude journal. So I use the 5-minute journal. My coach had me do that. You might want to get that. I'm creating a gratitude habit stick journal for IME, which is awesome too. Active gratitude practice helps us to cultivate joy in our lives, is what Brene Brown found out. So please practice that. That's amazing. Also, the relaxing playlist, that's a few like top anti-anxiety busting songs. I just picked a few out of a list of 10 that I found online. This is for your listening and relaxing pleasure. So Strawberry Swing by Coldplay. Oh my gosh, I love that song. Someone Like You by Adele. I find someone like you. To try to sing Adele on a podcast, give me a break. Okay, Weightless by, it's Marconi Union. I listened to this. This is a really cool calming thing. This is going to be very relaxing. So don't listen to it while you're driving. If you're a parent or a teen who can drive, listening, you probably, if you're a teen, this one you may not listen to, but it really does calm you down. This may be one to listen to before sleep, or if you're really stressed out, that maybe Weightless is a good one to listen to. And that was actually the top like anti-anxiety song on a playlist. Okay, it's all instrumental. All right, that wraps it up. What a great week. And then next week I'm going to be talking about relationships and boundaries. We are created to have boundaries, healthy boundaries. It's amazing. Okay, I will leave you with this. When I was coaching teens in IME community last week, I asked them what their definition of self-compassion was, and I was really floored by it, and I found it to be exceedingly helpful. And it was that you don't compare yourself to others, that you break your goals up and you take them on little by little, and you don't judge yourself along the way, that you know your limits so that you don't get burnout, so that you know where you're going and you know where you're going to stop. And I said, that's boundaries. And you may think, why are we talking about all of this stress and sleep, and especially relationship and boundaries and self-love superpower, when we're talking about metabolic health, reversing our insulin resistance, or weight loss goals? And it's the work of our lives. This is the most important work to do. And this is what leads us, our issues with our relationships and our boundaries. These are the hardest things in life, right? Learning self-love superpower. These are the hard things, but we are worthy of these self-love superpower goals. We are worthy of having healthy relationships and healthy boundaries. And that's what leads us to overeat, the stress from those things. So once we learn to, manage our mind and allow our human emotions and create with intention, healing, self-love, superpower, and, wonderful relationships and boundaries, then, everything's perfect. It's just a day. It's no summit. We're just working towards it together and learning together, okay? And the cool ways that we all think about it differently was what's really powerful. Okay, well, I love all of you, and I hope you have an amazing week. And please reach out to me, and please join IME community if you're a teen. And let's go. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the IME Community Podcast, where self-love is your superpower. The content of this podcast represents the opinions of Dr. Carla Lester and is not intended as, and shall not be understood as, a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The opinions shared reflect the host and guest and do not represent an organization or medical group. Always seek the advice of your physician or therapist if you have concerns about your health. And please, like and subscribe to the IME Community Podcast. Share IME with your friends and go to imecommunity.com to join the member community. Don't forget to follow IME on social.